My name is Alex Barlow. I'm the Director of Programs at the Canadian Food Innovation Network, and today I'll be taking you through our Innovation Booster program for our 2023-2024 fiscal year. Just a note, if you're looking for this presentation in French, or if you are looking for a program guide in French, or you want to submit your application in French, that's absolutely doable, and all those materials have been provided in both official languages on our website, and you're welcome to submit or access the materials or submit your application in whichever language you choose. So if you're not familiar with the Canadian Food Innovation Network, we're a national not-for-profit. We are a member-based organization, and we're here to stimulate transformative and transferable innovation across the food sector. For us, we're looking for innovation, for technology, for solutions that addresses industry challenges. And beyond our funding programs, we're here to connect the Canadian food ecosystem to fresh insights, ideas, and technologies to grow your business, elevate your business, improve your profitability, your competitiveness, but most importantly, increase your innovation capacity. Some things you should know about us. So obviously, our members care about using innovation, but they're focused on a fairly wide spectrum of the food supply chain, going from manufacturing to food service and food retail businesses. So we look at the food sector from farm gate to consumer's plate. So for us, we do not look at agricultural or farming activities. If you're looking at that sort of space, or the primary benefactor of your project or innovation is a farmer or producer, then there are some other organizations that we'd be happy to refer you to that are better suited. So we're really looking at food tech. And so not just manufacturers, also distributors, those in the food service industry, and those doing everything from preparing food in a restaurant to delivering meals in meal kits or in food delivery. We see a wide range of stakeholders, and that's a bit novel. I think there's not a lot of groups who have taken that approach through looking at food. Through a combination of people and technology, we're providing ideas, information, and matchmaking that increases that innovation capacity in the food sector. We have a staff located across Canada, including 5-member leading regional innovation directors who can work closely with you in your area. We will have one in British Columbia, one in the Prairies, Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. In addition, we also have an online platform called Yodel, and Yodel can be used by your organization to connect digitally across Canada and, find co-packers, food safety consultants. Maybe you've got a particular ingredient challenge and you're hoping to see if someone can help you. Maybe you want to connect with college or university research center to conduct some innovation work, etc. Yodel is there to help you make those connections and foster some of those discussions. As I noted, our team is distributed nationwide. We bring innovation support to all of Canada, but also all commodities and all types of businesses who are working in that farm gate to consumers plate space. We do have 3 innovation priorities, and all of our applicants have to outline how they align with at least one of these innovation priorities when they're submitting their application. Our first one is smart product and process development. So here we'll see food as medicine, novel ingredients that have wellness or health benefits. Of course, the whole emerging science protein space, in particular around green proteins or cultured or cultivated meat, for example. Different process solutions, of course, targeted at labor shortage, whether that's automation, robotics, digitization, AI, etc. And various processing technologies that might address the quality of our food, but also the energy that is consumed during the creation of that food and the productivity of the systems that are making the food that we eat. Our food ecosystem sustainability, that's where we'll see waste reduction, value recovery of different waste side streams. There might be circularity and upcycling of either food waste or even packaging. Green and smart packaging is definitely an area of focus. And of course, more efficient use of inputs, including energy, water, and carbon, always looking to tackle those critical greenhouse gas emissions. And lastly, agile and safe supply chains. So here we'll look at the logistics element, the connectivity of data between companies, maybe leveraging data analytics to drive consumer and customer or retail insights to help members of the value chain, food safety and food security, IoT and digital applications in the food chain, and of course, blockchain and its impacts around traceability, source of origin, etc. So our Innovation Booster program is one of 3 of our programs. It's providing funding to companies who have a clear innovation hurdle that they need to address in order to get closer to market. So here we're generally seeing project proposals being led by a small or medium-sized company, and in some cases a researcher at an academic institution or a not-for-profit organization. We have rolling intakes, so we have 3 intakes this year with fairly fast turnarounds, usually 60 days. And these programs are open to any CFIN member who meets our program requirements, and we provide up to $100,000 in funding per application. So how much funding is available? We fund up to 50% of your submitted budget. Your budget should be somewhere between $20,000 and $200,000. And at 50%, that means that the largest amount of funding we'll give is $10,000. Our funding is provided as a grant, and if you're approved, we provide it on a reimbursement basis. So you must incur the project costs and then show us proof of having incurred those expenses, and then we will reimburse you on a quarterly basis. No advances will be provided. If your application is successful, CFIN will require a non-refundable project management fee of 5% of the total eligible project cost. So if it's a $200,000 budget, it's 5% of that we charge you. Should you be approved, that goes to running our programs, checking your claims, hiring external experts, etc. And in terms of number of projects, we fund about 15 to 20 booster projects annually. That's sort of the typical number that we put out. We do receive significantly more applications to that. So this is a competitive program and one in which you want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. So who's eligible? Eligible applicants to the booster are largely small or medium-sized businesses who are incorporated in Canada and have under 499 full-time employees and 50 million in sales in their last filed fiscal year. You must be incorporated to apply to our programs. We will also consider applications from Canadian researchers at not-for-profits or post-secondary institutions. However, we are looking for a strong industry pull, a clear impact to business as a result of the project, and strong commercialization opportunities. So if you are a Canadian researcher and you're looking at applying, consider chatting with us about your submission, especially if you are an academic with a SME or a business that you're partnering with, and they're really driving your research, and in fact you intend to bill them for the work that you're completing. That application should be led by the business, and they should be the lead applicant to CFIN. If you have been a member for a little while and you're looking at applying to our programs, please note that if you are currently the lead applicant on an active CFIN project, so you have a master project agreement in place, you're undertaking the activities, and you have yet to file a final report, you cannot apply to our programs or have another simultaneous active project. So you can submit as many applications as you like to us. However, once you have one on the go, you have to close that one out prior to receiving additional funding as a lead applicant in our other calls. Other groups who are publicly funded, so larger not-for-profit organizations whose funds are largely from government, federal crown corporations, government department and agencies are not eligible to receive our funding. What about your project? So to qualify for funding, all projects have to address an area of the post-farm gate food supply chain. So if your project primarily focuses on agricultural activities and mainly benefits farmers, it's not eligible for our funding. Your project needs to identify a specific technical hurdle with a very clear methodology to solve it. There has to be a defined goal or outcome, and there needs to be opportunity for commercial application. So we want to know that this will then impact the market, that you're going to sell this product or have the opportunity to move it out into a profit-generating space. We are looking for research, development, and demonstration projects. So we are not here to support a business scale-up, to increase your capacity, or to help you with marketing or export development. Our funds are focused on R&D. What that means is we look at technology readiness levels, and I have a full overview of these in our program guide, and we're looking specifically at activities 1 through 7. 1 is you have an idea or a concept that you think will solve a problem. 7 is that idea or concept has been built and proven in an operational environment, and you have the results now to launch it into market. TRLs of 8 and 9 really are we're launching it, it's proven, it's out in the market, it's being commercialized. So we're looking at 1 to 7 as our focus, and we do want to see some clear progression through those TRL levels as you undertake your project. And then with a booster, your project should be no more than 12 months in length. We're looking for short turnarounds, focused projects when you're looking at submitting with us under this program. So again, what do we fund? We fund research, development, and demonstration projects. So all projects must involve research development at TRLs of 1 to 7. I do recommend you get familiar with the TRLs or chat with us about them if you have any questions. Innovation obviously is a big word, and it can mean a lot of things. Some of you may be working on new products, or you've got success in a category and you're looking to build out a second SKU or something like that. For CFIN, we are looking at either new industry processes, new product categories, new knowledge, or a new application of science. There has to be an underlying potential for intellectual property for it to be a good fit for our programs. So if you are looking at developing a new product in an existing category, let's say a diet-specific solution like keto or low carb or vegan, and it's a known set of ingredients and you're not necessarily proving out any new science, you're just tweaking your ingredients, making sure they perform well in existing equipment so that you can make a great tasting product. While we wholly support those endeavors, we cannot fund them. So if you are doing a product development or iteration of a product in an existing category, so I'm making a great gluten-free cracker, a protein bar, or a dairy-free milkshake, or there's a multitude of fantastic product opportunities out there. Those are not eligible under our programs. If you have an ingredient, like you're looking at a new isolate of a protein, or you've brought out some novel ingredient from a fruit, an antioxidant, or perhaps a great food ingredient that adds emulsification naturally, or things like that, and you're proving out that new novel ingredient, that has more alignment with what we're looking for because there's a new either product category, there's new knowledge being gained about that ingredient that is potentially protectable under an intellectual property type strategy. New processes, so for example, you're looking at new applications of robotics that have not yet been successfully done, or a new application of science. Those are all great fits. So if you're not sure about that, reach out to your regional innovation director, and you look in particular at our scoring rubric, which I'll show you in a couple of slides, because that also gives you some insight of how you might fare depending on what kind of project you're proposing. So what are the eligible costs? What will CFIN cover when you're building out your budget? Our costs include salaries and the labor costs of technical staff time on the project. We'll look at consultants and subcontractors, direct materials, your equipment, and travel costs. This is in our booster program. One thing to note is that the project costs that you're laying out need to be very clearly tied to the research and development activities. If you're looking at buying a piece of equipment and it's to scale your operations versus conduct research and development with, you may want to consider if that truly fits the requirement of the program. Another element also to consider is we're looking for activities to be carried out largely in Canada. We have some limitations on how much of our money can be spent outside of Canada. For example, a consultant located in Texas or Boston, or using a development team in a market like India or Romania. Those will have some challenges for your budget because we want to ensure that we're using Canadian resources to create Canadian IP, and we're limited on what we can spend outside of Canada. Bringing a piece of equipment from an international market into Canada, that's okay because the activity, the benefits coming to Canada. But what we don't want to see is a lot of physical activities taking place outside of the country. When you're building your budget in our program, you'll notice that we tack on 55% on any salaries that you put into your budget. And then we limit that coverage to about 15% of your total budget. The reason we do that, it's something called indirect costs, and it covers overhead. So of course, if you hire a new engineer or a new member of your team, they might need a computer. They're going to need an office space. You're going to need hydro to support their operations, your internet cost, etc. That's all covered through the overhead or indirect costs that we tack onto your budget. That is limited to 15% of your total budget, but it doesn't need receipts to be claimed. So you may see that if you're adding labor to your budget, that we are tacking on that overhead, and that's why it exists. It's there to support your operation because there are more costs than often just the technical staff on your project. All the project costs that you're submitting in a booster must be incurred by you, the lead applicant, and again have to be shown to be necessary to carry out the project activities. And we really recommend that you take a good look at the program guide, at the definitions of these costs, but also our ineligible cost and indirect cost policy to ensure that your project is aligning with what we'll fund. So when can you submit an application? Our first opportunity for our Innovation Booster will open on February 1st through our online application portal, and will close March 3rd. If you have a started application and you haven't pressed the submit button by March 3rd, it's not considered submitted. We don't accept incomplete applications. And so if you have a draft in, it's just that, a draft. You need to go in and make sure you've pressed the submit button. And then it takes us about 60 days to provide you a response to your application. Our second intake will be at the end of May, closing in June, with awards coming out in the early fall or September 1st. That one has a theme. So only projects that can showcase their alignment with personalized nutrition and improving health and wellness through food, whether that's a piece of software or a novel ingredient or whatever solution you might be considering, you have to align with that kind of focus to fit in that call. And our third booster will open in October, closing in November, notifications come out in January, and that is going to be an open theme as well. So any type of project aligning with our innovation priorities can be submitted. So how do you apply? First and most important thing is you want to go to www.cfin-rcia.ca, our main website, and you need to become a member. If you have not yet become a member, you will not get access to our application portal, which is shown here on the screen. Our application portal, as I mentioned earlier, is available in English and French, so you can submit your application in French should you choose to. But access to this portal is only provided once you become a CFIN member. There are a ton of benefits to becoming a CFIN member, and that process is free. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and log on and become a member, especially if you're looking at applying to an upcoming intake, because it can take about 24 to 48 hours to get you authorized on both systems. So go to our website, become a member, and then when you go to the specific program page for the Innovation Booster, there'll be an Apply Now button, which takes you to this specific website. When you're submitting a booster application, it's a single step process. Once you register and you log on to the application and you draft and complete the application and you submit to us your completed submission, that's all we have on you. We won't be reaching out to ask you questions. We won't be reaching out to clarify. Unless there's something that's clearly missing, we might request some minor revisions like, hey, you didn't complete this table in your budget, and we'll give you 24 hours to do so. But really, please treat this, it's your one chance to showcase your project. Our applications are extremely competitive. We receive anywhere from 5 to 10 times the number of submissions that we can actually support. And when you're submitting, these are the types of things that we're asking you. So we'll be asking you to provide a title and a short description of your project. That information may be released publicly. And then we're looking at detailed responses to the following questions. First, we ask for a snapshot of your last filed fiscal year. So we want to see that financial capability. Are you in revenues? What are you spending on R&D? How many employees do you have? Where are you located, etc. Then we want to see a snapshot or an overview of your business. And what is your revenue model? What's your value proposition? Are you a food manufacturer? Do you use a co-packer? Are you a toll manufacturer? Are you an innovation company or a technology company operating on a software as a subscription model? We want to see that and understand, what your value proposition is. We're looking to understand your financial position and your ability to finance the project activities. So what is the cash you have available to you? Are you looking at other grant programs? What are they, etc.? We're looking at your financial position and we're also looking at the background and the rationale for the project. How'd you get to this obstacle? What's the opportunity and why is it important that you tackle it? We're looking to understand if you have any project partners, people who might be providing cash to the project, let's say a pilot partner who's very keen in seeing you solve this problem, or service providers, someone who's a key resource to you accomplishing this project. Looking to understand what are the objectives and the potential outcomes if you're successful. And perhaps most importantly, this has the most points associated with it, we're looking at the innovative aspects of the project. If you're in a space where there are multiple types of companies currently trying to solve the solution, why is your solution better versus what else is on the competitive landscape? What are potential IP to be created as a result of your project? And what is the challenge or what's technically novel about it? Second highest scoring component is what is your project design and methodology? What's your work plan for this? How are you going to get it done? Who are some of the key resources? What's the money you want to spend? What are some key milestones you need to achieve in order to be successful? We ask you to select one of our innovation priorities and describe why you best align with it. We look to understand and have you outline and quantify the direct benefits to your firm as well as the benefits for the wider food sector. And you'll see in our scoring rubric that becomes very important, and it can be where if you have a product development project that's about your product, it can be harder to answer those questions and sometimes result in you not faring as well with your submission. And something we're always interested in is, is there any potential job creation? It's not a requirement, but it's something that we're always interested in knowing. Your application will also include a detailed work plan, a budget, which has to have enough information for us to determine what the costs are and if they align with our policies around eligible costs. You'll have to complete a source of funds, so if you're providing your own cash or other government funding to support the project, a quarterly forecast, and we will request 2 years financials, either audited, review, engagement, or notice to reader. If you cannot meet that requirement, at bare minimum, a term sheet, a bank statement, or other documentation demonstrating your financial position, or a letter showing you the balance of your request is the bare minimum. Please note that even if you do show that you can carry out the project activities and you have cash, that's not a guarantee of an approval, but it is important that you are able to showcase that you can bridge the expenses for the outlined project. How are applications scored? This is critical. Look carefully. They align to each of the questions in the application, and you want to ensure that you are putting your best foot forward. We run intake, so we close the intake and we look at everyone against each other and we choose the top scoring submissions. Our applications are reviewed by both external and internal reviewers, and our reviewers must declare conflicts of interest, and they are under confidentiality agreements to not share any information that they review. When you're submitting your application, you don't have to include the big secret behind your innovation, but you do need to describe it and give us enough information to evaluate it. So you don't have to tell me exactly how you create your novel product or what all the coding secrets are in your piece of software, but you do need to tell us what it does, what it solves, how you solve that in layman terms at the very least. So each of these questions has a scoring attached to it, and these are the questions in the application. So, we're looking for wholesome responses to this. You get about 500 words for each response, and as I noted, we will not be reaching out to you to clarify missing information or to address any gaps. What you submit is what we get. So make sure you're providing full, complete answers to the questions. And in our program guide, we go through each of these questions and what we expect to see in those responses. And that information, as you're completing the application, is also highlighted there. So make sure you're addressing it. It is the biggest gap, the biggest difference between someone who wins and loses in our programs is not providing us a complete picture so that we can evaluate it. So think about writing concisely, about giving us really clear information, and look at what those questions are looking for. It's amazing how many times people just don't answer the question in front of them. What is innovative? So for us, a top scoring submission is going to show that they have a solution that's responding to an urgent industry problem. For example, food processors can't find enough people, so automation is a critical investment, and we've got one that really aligns well with food manufacturers' needs, for example. Transformative. The solution has potential not only to impact your company, but other companies. So again, for those of you doing product development, this is why we encourage you to consider if there's some novelty and innovation behind what you're actually doing. While you may be creating a new product and that impacts your company, it won't necessarily benefit the wider industry. And so that transformative element can be a challenge. So consider that piece carefully. Risky, you need help. There is a challenge here. It's not just a simple, oh, we go buy the equipment and that's it, it's done. Research, development, demonstration means there's an element of risk. There's a challenge. There's going to be issues, and you need the support to overcome that. And then necessary. So how does this benefit the sector? It ties into that urgency. It's a timely problem, but it is a real problem and one that's faced by more than just one company. And then through those types of projects, we're looking to have repeatable solutions that have impact for the sector, that are mutually beneficial for more than just your company and that offer value to the ecosystem. So that's an ideal project for us. Of course, as you're creating innovation and launching new solutions, you might be wondering, well, if I get help from CFIN, what does that mean? Do I still own my intellectual property? The answer is yes. CFIN will not own or have any stake in intellectual property created from its funded projects. However, we are very interested in ensuring that any intellectual property generated could be used to catalyze economic and technological development in the Canadian food system. So we're looking for opportunities where companies are going to develop something and then make it available or share information about their advancements with others. Whether that's commercially available, you're going to sell this technology, or you're working with a post-secondary institution, for example, who might publicize some results related to the work that's being completed. Those could be some examples of how information could be disseminated and catalyze that type of impact. All of our projects have to adhere to the same commitment we have in our contribution agreement for this funding, which is that any intellectual property that is created as a result of these projects, that the ownership and the exploitation of that IP will remain in Canada for a minimum of 5 years after the end of the project funding agreement, unless otherwise approved in writing by the minister. For us, that minister is Innovation, Science, and Economic Development, and that's on a case-by-case basis. So if you are intending to exit your company or sell your firm, you want to keep this in mind because it is a component of our interest in ensuring that this intellectual property benefits Canada and Canadians. So again, projects where IP will be disseminated and available to industry. So it's the software, the equipment, or the tool you're going to be developed will be sold to industry or will be available to industry if you're successful. A question we often get in funding is, what about stacking? Maybe you have some similar funding from another group, or you have a co-op wage subsidy, or you're working with IRAP. We allow for stacking up to 75% of total eligible project costs. However, you do have to tell us what programs you have, whether they're secured, and how much they're giving you. And you want to make sure that we're actually talking about the same project. So if you're submitting $200,000 to CFIN in project costs, are the expenses that you're submitting to us actually the same as what's being claimed in the other program? And we do encourage you just to reach out to your regional innovation director about your project generally, but bringing up whether or not you plan to stack is a good idea so that they can ensure that you're doing so in a way that we can support. So frequently asked questions, can I apply more than once? So yes, absolutely. Often when we have a project that is declined, someone will come back afterwards and wonder, can I submit again, given the feedback you've given me? Maybe I didn't answer this question as well as I should, and I have a better answer for it, and I'd love to put that on paper and have you reconsider my request. We will definitely do that. Sometimes you might apply with a project that's, not really perfectly eligible for our programs. It either doesn't, it's product development focused within an existing category, it's focused on the farming community, or it's just not in our wheelhouse. In those cases, we'll give you that feedback and probably not encourage you to apply with the exact same project because you may not get a different result. So another common one we get, so as a college or university researcher, can I lead an application to CFIN? Yes, you can. There needs to be a clear industry opportunity or benefit related to what you're doing, a clear commercialization opportunity. And so you want to be careful because you may not fare as well in our scoring rubric with a project being led by a college or university. Usually when we have this question, what's happening is you have an industry partner who wants to work with you, but they don't want to pay for the full amount. And that happens. In that case, it's actually the college, or it's actually the company that you're working with who should be leading the application. And we've seen that a lot. We've had a number of great projects where the SME is working with a college or university. We think that's a great strategy to leverage academic and not-for-profit or even outside innovation resources. So make sure that the lead applicant is the right one. And if you are a university or college researcher or with a not-for-profit and you're looking to apply, again, really recommend a quick chat with one of our regional innovation directors to see if we can help you troubleshoot positioning your application in the best way. What's the difference between a partner or a service provider? A partner is generally someone who's going to be providing key in-kind resources or maybe even cash towards your project. So for example, If you're a robotics company and you've got a client who is willing to put in $10,000 to help see if you can solve their problem, and that's part of how you're going to pay for the project, that's a partner, and you want to outline their involvement and maybe even include a letter of support. Never a bad idea. A service provider is someone who's providing key resources to your project and who's going to be working with you on your activity, and they intend to bill you and you want to pay them and use CFIN funding to cover some of those costs. Again, totally great use of our fund. We absolutely endorse using a third party or an outside innovation partner, and we're happy to connect you with some of those too if you are not sure how to get your project done. And of course, can I talk to someone about my project? Yes, I'll be showcasing some of our staff in a few slides, but we're more than happy to chat with you. In fact, we encourage it. It's a great way to ensure that you are putting forward a project that fits our mandate well, and sometimes the best way to ensure that is just to talk it out. We have these and more program frequently asked questions on our programs page. We have a frequently asked questions module, and you can go through them and find answers to many things that may help clarify how we work and how you can best submit an application. Just to give you a concept of what some of our previously funded projects, we currently have about 30 active funded projects from our first year of operations. And 3 of our boosters are showcased here, but we have projects, as I mentioned, focusing on use of digital twin in restaurants. We've got projects focusing on circular packaging opportunities and more. Here are 3, just to give you an idea. One of our first ones with Index Biosystems, they've created a solution where they take baker's yeast and they've turned it into microscopic barcodes called biotags. And the real advantage to a biotag is that it can be applied to high volume commodity products like grain. And so what Index Biosystems is working on is how to apply this product to grain, how to automate that and make it as efficient as possible, but also how to automate their backend for the scanning, recognition, and management of these barcodes and the associated lot and source information. So that's one project that we've supported. We have another project with an organization called NutriMeals in Calgary. They've received funding to develop a precision nutrition program that will allow users to fully cater a ready-to-eat meal delivery service according to their very personalized nutrition requirements, like I'm on dialysis, or I'm keto, or I have these requirements due to allergies, etc. And NutriMeals will use that service, this software, to allow them to deliver their monthly subscription service under their meal plan operation, but they also intend to license and sell that program to other meal kit organizations. And our final one, Saltwinds Coffee Company, based in New Brunswick, they've received funding to scale and test their proof of concept carbon capture system. They've been using it on a small scale roaster, and they use it on the exhaust flue to capture CO2 that is emitted when coffee beans are roasted. Coffee beans roasting is obviously quite carbon intensive, and they'll be looking to scale, test this solution, but also take it to market if they are successful. So again, to apply, you want to become a CFIN member. I highly recommend that you go ahead and do that. Registration is free. It takes less than 3 minutes to complete. You can register at www.cfin-rcia.ca, clicking the Join Now button up at the top right. Once you become a member, you'll get access to funding opportunities like our booster program, but also the opportunity to develop new partners and access our exclusive members only community called Yodel. This is where event discussions, connections, and resource sharing is happening, and as I noted, our membership is free. So it's a great way to get connected into the community, and not only your fellow members, but your regional innovation directors, etc. All of our applications get submitted on our application portal. We don't take Word applications or emails or anything like that. It's done online. And our program guide, which is posted on the Innovation Booster website in both French and English, will outline how you go about applying, how to access the system, how to use it, and of course, our programs team and our wider staff are always here to help you use any of those tools. So I mentioned we have a great team. These are our 5 regional innovation directors. We have Lavina Gully covering BC, but also up into the north. Huba Katoon, she's covering the prairies. Linda Fox is here where I'm based in Ontario. Julie Daigle is our French lead, as well as covering Quebec. So if you are a French speaker and want to chat with someone in French, Julie is a great point of contact for you. And then Tyson McInnes is our Atlantic Canada Regional Innovation Director covering the Atlantic provinces. So our team can help you. Their emails are on our website, and if you go to our team page, you can shoot them a note. But as I noted, if you sign up to Yodel, you can find them there and reach out to them that way as well. So I want to say thank you for joining us. If you want to chat with us about your project, you can contact innovation@cfin-rcia.ca. That will allow us to discuss your project with you, as well as then you can be connected with your regional innovation director. First step, as I mentioned, and I'll show a slide just after this, how to become a member. It's very simple, free, but you need to be a member in order to apply to our programs and get access to our grant application portal. With that, I want to say thank you. I want to encourage you to look at our website, reach out to us with questions, but all the information you need to have a successful application is available online, and we'd love to chat with you about your project prior to submitting to make sure that you are developing something that is very strong, and we're keen to see your innovations and understand what your company is up to. So again, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing your submissions. Please reach out to us with any questions.